There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil FB Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire Roy Bleckert. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face. Wow, Father's Day weekend coming up. Lots of racing coming up. Sprint cars, stock cars at Paris Auto Speedway. Of course, NASCAR truck race, I think, is going on today. The O'Reilly Series used to be the Late Model Sportsman Series, as the picture you just seen coming in was. We'll get to that in a second. Will be Saturday, and of course the Cup guys will be there at Naval Air Station San Diego Sunday, and all sorts. We'll have more of the racing report, sprint cars crashing, and a very, very, very dramatic finish in Waynesville, Ohio, and more. Plus, Tulsi Gabbard dropped the dime on Fauci. Of course, California legislature is going to tax everything, even that walks, don't walks, flies, doesn't fly, is in the ground. I think they may be taxing dead people after we're done with this budget. We'll give you the rundown. More pressure on Gavin Newsom and Jenny Poo on the $347 million in behested payments Gavin Newsom extorted. Whether it was legal or illegal, it was as unethical as heck. We're now going to get charged for asking our government questions under a proposed bill in front of California legislature, and much, much more. Where we get into the heavyweight stuff. 53 years ago today, Roy Pete Bleckert Jr., my dad, finished third Riverside Raceway in the Sportsman 100 in that very fine automobile, a 64 Pontiac GTO. That was his best finish out there at Riverside Raceway. Back there 53 years ago today, that was. Herschel McGriff won it. Ron Hornaday Sr. was second. Dad was third. I think Ivan Baldwin was fourth on that day 53 years ago at Riverside Raceway. Rest easy, Pop. A little bit of carnage. They had a $150,000 to win race at Hussett Speedway in North Dakota. World Outlaws Sprint Cars. The last chance race was a little sketchy. Here's the call.
12 laps, top 6 go to the finale of the Hefty Steve Houston's Hustle. Contact on the front straightaway. We've got a big pileup happening down in turn number 1.
No kidding.
Big pileup happening down in turn number 1. We've got a big pileup happening down in turn number 1.
That may have been the understatement of the year. That was at Hussett Speedway. Buddy Kofoid captured the $150,000 to win race on there, so congratulations to Buddy and the crew. Man, I know it costs a bunch to go sprint car racing now, but there's some of the payoffs on the big races are way up there on that. Many six-figure races, including the Dirt Cup, which is running up at Skagit, Washington this weekend. There's a lot going on. Here's a barn burner of a finish. This is, again, never give up. All you nattering nabobs of negativism that are pissed off about everything. You know, Trump's not kissing your ass, you're mad. You know, why don't you run into the arms of Kamala Harris or whatever, if that's your bag, but don't give up. Look at how far second place is behind first, going into turn 3 on the last lap. in Waynesville, Ohio at the All-Star Circuit of Champions sprint car race. You, we thought.
Lucius going to try and go to the inside on Gates Garcia. He'll slide up. Chris Andrews, drag race to the line. Chris Andrews is going to win it. Chris Andrews at the line gets it done for his third career All-Star win over.
So congratulations to Chris Andrews. Turn 4, there's nothing better than a turn 4 pass in the last lap coming down to the checkered flag. And the good thing about this is I've been seeing this a lot in racing, the 1, 2, 3 competitive finishes. And again, people, you know, the 1973 June in Riverside ain't coming back. It was a nice day. It was great to grow up in that area, great to be a part of it. That doesn't mean what's going on today is just all AFU. There are challenges with racing, and we pointed them out, but, you know, what are you going to go watch? Gay Major League Baseball or something? I mean, it's your choice, but too often I think, at least in my opinion, we get bogged down in too much of this negativity crap, and we don't take time to enjoy the positives in that. And I see a lot of positives coming back in racing. I didn't even see it at the beginning of the year, and I was getting really nervous. And there's still some challenges out there, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go out and support your local Saturday night track, or go to the roller rink, or whatever in your local community and support local businesses. That's what'll bring us back. We created this new holiday, June 19th. June 19th. Juneteenth. I guess Juneteenth, we celebrated on June 19th. Most of the government agencies and banks are closed. Schools are out. Well, most of them are on summer vacation. Juneteenth. As it is, let me get it where it'll read. I love this stuff sometimes. Some of this technology is fun. There we go. Juneteenth celebrates the day that Republicans freed the slaves that were owned by Democrats. So we celebrate this on June 19th. Today is the day we celebrate the day that Republicans freed the slaves who were owned by Democrats. Never forget. We'll catch into they're looking to tax anything you got, and really the destruction of the once great West Coast and East Coast cities. And maybe how we can avoid that before they crush the rest of us. We'll have much, much more on this June 19th, Juneteenth. The day we celebrate that Republicans freed the slaves who were owned by Democrats. It's going to be a hell of a rest of the show. Yes, it will be. Just remember that. And remember this, the only real racists are the ones that shout racist, racism, play the race card. Get back to reality. Tulsi Gabbard. She first came on at least political scene, elected as a Democrat to Congress. She was pretty good on foreign policy and immigration issues, at least in my view, her economics were horrid. She was probably the left of Mondami when she first came in. She saw the power of the establishment. She ran for president. Hillary Clinton was Bernie Sanders. She was actually second at the DNC, Democratic National Committee, whose head was Wasserman, who's really tight, if you get my drift, with Hillary Clinton. And she said, hey, you're screwing Bernie Sanders out of the Democratic presidential nomination. Well, they basically drummed her out of the Democratic Party. She didn't quit then. She did not rerun for a re-election in the House of Representatives from Hawaii, where she was born. She made an amazing turn in 22. She started supporting Republican candidates or center-right, freedom and liberty type candidates. She changed her economic policy from totalitarianism, Mondami, Karl Marxism, to embracing the free market. The transition was there. She endorsed Donald Trump in 24, became his Director of National Intelligence, has turned over many files, got rid of a lot of the establishment hacks that were working in that particular agency, and has given us many documents in our intelligence agency that we never had access to before. She had her final day yesterday as she resigned from as Director of National Intelligence because her husband Abraham is going through some very rigorous cancer treatments and ordeals. I don't think we've seen the last of Tulsi. At least in my conversations with most of the inside politicos that do this, that crunch the numbers and look at how it's going to go. Even today, no matter what you want to think, did you take any combination of candidates from clear off communist to goose-stepping nationalist, anything in between, whatever you want to say. Right now, the hands down, the best ticket that wins in 28 in the presidency is J.D. Vance and Tulsi Gabbard. But she released these documents on the COVID con, Anthony Fauci, and just really unbelievable. You want to talk about destruction of people's lives and killing people? Holy cow, here we go.
Before the COVID pandemic, Dr. Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic. Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives. Now, these documents expose Fauci's direct role in influencing and manipulating IC assessments on COVID-19 and how Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when under oath he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research. We also received testimony from multiple intelligence community whistleblowers who reported retaliation for challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins, once again revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth. Dr. Fauci's close relationships with the intelligence community enabled him to assume three key roles that shield him from scrutiny. First, Dr. Fauci funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to Big Pharma and their pursuit of universal vaccines worth trillions of dollars. Second, Dr. Fauci was...
Follow the money. That's always the biggest. You'll find 98.7% of whatever you want to know by just following the money. Then once you follow the money, then you're going to find if you start asking questions, people are going to start burying things, shredding things, covering them up like you've never seen. Here we go.
The behind-the-scenes advisor who, alongside his hand-picked so-called experts, pushed the intelligence community to endorse a natural animal origin to hide his dangerous gain-of-function research that he funded using taxpayer dollars, all of this in a deliberate attempt to cover up the truth and shift the blame and attention away from Fauci's own actions. Third,
we got wind of this. Peter Navarro, which we've had on the show, was in the meeting back in January 30th, 2020. Fauci's in there, Trump, everybody's like, most people don't know what the hell's going on with this. This is COVID, they're coming up, everybody's saying, what the hell? First time Peter Navarro had met Anthony Fauci. He said, I could tell that was a snake in the grass, lying piece of ass. And as to this day, here we are over 6 years later. And we're seeing the evidence. By any account, prove me wrong, Anthony, you set it up. The CIA said, hey, get down here in 17, something's going on haywire down here in Wuhan lab. You funded gain-of-function research. You can deny it. You can try to put it under a different name. But as Rand Paul said, and put you many times in Ron Johnson up at the Senate, you've been lying about this ever since it came out, because I'm sure you knew your ass was in trouble right there in 2020 when this thing broke.
Dr. Fauci became the nation's pandemic pundit, and he publicly pushed lies, disinformation, and censorship using every platform available. Now, according to hundreds of reviewed emails, which are included in this release, the intelligence community almost always incorporated Fauci's recommendations. He promoted a fraudulent paper whose publication he helped prompt as legitimate information for intelligence community consideration.
Remember when we were told to trust the science? And Anthony Fauci said, I am the science. You can't question me. What kind of threat were all these people under? I mean, maybe it was their job. Maybe they knew the consequences if they were a whistleblower. You know, they would wind up shooting themselves in the back of the head 27 times like Vince Foster, and it declared a suicide. And we could go on and on with all of that. It's just one of the more blatantly obvious, as it's commonly known, suicide with help.
Senior analysts praised Dr. Fauci not as a policymaker, but as what they called an unbiased guide to the real coronavirus experts, while deliberately ignoring experts who might dissent from Fauci's narratives. Now, Fauci didn't stop there. He blatantly lied to Congress under oath during his 2024 testimony to the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, denying that he ever spoke to any intelligence agency about COVID.
There's Tulsi Gabbard. Anthony Fauci not only lied, blatantly lied in her words. Director of National Intelligence, with the documents released to back up her claim.
Now, the correspondence I'm releasing today directly contradicts his sworn testimony. Now, we received statements from multiple whistleblowers revealing that the intelligence analysts who dared to challenge Dr. Fauci's COVID origin conclusions faced threats of retaliation, marginalization, and many suffered career setbacks. For example,
Again, that's probably the smallest part. I think a lot of them were afraid of Vince Foster disease. And they knew it. And again, the amount of threats and pressure, this goes to everybody that says, well, I would do this and I would do that. You know what? You never know what you're going to do in any situation until your little rear end is put in it. You can talk badass, you can say I would, but, and this is as factual as you will ever get, you will never know what you will do in any situation until it's in front of you and you're on the hot seat.
Contractor was terminated just days after coming forward to ODNI as a whistleblower. Another example, those who advocated for the lab leak hypothesis or expressed dissenting views were reminded by their managers that leadership would determine which analysts would be promoted and which would not.
That's pure, blatant government power at its finest. And that's how government works 98.7% of the time. Don't give me how great thou art, that this never happens. Oh, that's only in the District of Criminals. No, that goes from the Sewer Cleaning Commission in wherever to the City Council of Moreno Valley, to the Board of Supervisors at the County of Riverside, to our state legislatures, to the District of Criminals, to tyrants like Ping Pong or Rocket Man or Zelensky or Putin or whoever. They're all one in the same.
The message was clear: go along or be punished. Senior leaders also sought to undermine whistleblowers by removing anonymity, which is required in the whistleblower process.
Go along or be punished. And those that didn't, as you heard, you will be punished.
As they made their complaints, and also insisting that their managers or attorneys be present during ODNI meetings where these whistleblowers were coming forward with their testimony, obviously creating an atmosphere of intimidation. The COVID pandemic caused tremendous hardship and pain for millions of our fellow Americans and countless people around the world. Now, after years of lies and censorship and cover-ups, the American people deserve transparency, truth, and accountability. The tactics that were used to hide the truth are straight from the deep state playbook.
The tactics used to hide this are straight from the deep state playbook. And they go back centuries. Hegelism create a crisis where one doesn't exist and then walk in with the solution. Create chaos everywhere and have the people beg you, they will do anything to make it stop. Make this thing so intolerable, they see their only chance of survival is to succumb to their captor, the Stockholm Syndrome. They play on your fears, and that's how they control you.
Politicized, self-serving leaders like Dr. Fauci covered up their own wrongdoing and abuses of power, manipulated intelligence, lied to Congress, and undermined a duly elected president by restricting his access to the vital facts he needed to keep the country safe. It's time you know the truth.
It's time we knew the truth. Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard, for giving us some of that truth and not being afraid, not being intimidated, not backing down. You can make all the excuses, oh, it's their dad, and oh, they control this, and oh, there's nothing you can do. Well, you know what? Those of you that say that, they own you. You can make any excuse or come up with any circle you want. But if you ain't got the guts enough to stand up there and challenge, whether it's your local governments, state or federal, and stand in the well and stand in their face, say here and do the research and put out the documents and inform the public, then you are part of the problem. They own you. They made you so afraid you won't say anything. Thank goodness there's a few like Tulsi, like J.D. Vance, who told Israel, hey, stick it in your rear end. So did Trump on Air Force One and at the G7. And no matter what happened or how that is, we're getting the truth. Or at least some of it. We wouldn't have had that opportunity if Trump wasn't elected. And ones like Tulsi and JD and Bobby Jr. weren't appointed. So we'll see how this all shakes out. But I don't think, I'm going to say with a 98.7% certainty, and I hope this is true, I'm sure politically we have not seen the last of Tulsi Gabbard. And if we had, in her, 12, 14 years or so that she's been in Congress and then in the cabinet of the administration, she has served herself at the highest level, at the extreme end of integrity, accountability, and doing what's right.
Got 30 seconds, Roy.
And you can expect nothing less. That's why she has my deepest respect. And I say she will be back in the arena. I'm almost certain. It's about as certain as I can be. As Sean said, we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET. We'll get to more of this fun stuff
10 seconds.
as we close out.
Around.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 in the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band, joining our vast video audience on the Evil FB Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire Roy Blackert, you'll see my nice smiling shiny face. We covered at the first of the hour, well, lots of stuff, some of the race report. Go out and do some fun. 53 years ago, my dad, Roy Pete Blackert, finished third at the Sportsman 100 out at Riverside International Raceway. So rest easy, Pops, on this Father's Day weekend. NASCAR's down at San Diego, down at the Naval Air Station. You know, we did, before Riverside Raceway in 57, they had a road race, I think in 53 and 54 at March on the airplane patch. Maybe we should bring, I don't know why now. NASCAR, if they come back next year, maybe we can put them on the old course that ran in the early 50s at March Air Force Base. I think that's what it was titled at the time. That was kind of the impetus from Riverside Raceway getting built in 57. Lots of good stuff. Paris Auto Speedway will have sprint cars coming up Saturday night if you can't make it down to San Diego, and I'm sure there's lots of activities. Perfect weekend. Get out there and do something absolutely fun and fantastic, because Lord knows we need a little bit of sanity in our lives. Juneteenth, June 19th, the day that celebrates Republicans freed the slaves who were owned by Democrats. Never forget. Never forget those that are shouting, racist, racism, are the real racists in our society, and they're doing it only to enrich themselves and screw you. Lots of good stuff coming on. On top of that, well, if you want to talk, this is 1960s in the IE. As you see there in the bottom of the screen right here, that's a road racing car going up 8th Street at the time, now known as University, headed to Riverside International Raceway. It wasn't uncommon back in the day to see them coming up the grade either. Guys would drive their race cars to the raceway. My, how times have changed. There's lots on the horizon, but this one's particularly because I file a lot of these. They're called public records requests. Freedom of Information Act, that's national, or across the U.S., that was passed by the Senate. California passed the CRP, California CPRA, California Public Records Act. I'll get it out. It's even more. Actually, Jerry Moonbeam Brown pushed this when he was in his last administration, before Gavin Newsom. He opened up most of the records. Hey, you can't charge people $9 million for that. You have to provide them. And if they can't pay you, we need to give them anyway, and they need to be done in a timely manner. You can't do them. You know, you can't wait 6 years like they used to play the game for us. It's 10 days, or they have to have an excuse why. But then they have to give you a date when, a reasonable amount of time when they can get the records. So That passed in 16, I believe. Here we are 10 years later. This is from the California Post. Californians could be sued, charged $66 per hour for asking questions of state government under crazy new bill. Of course, what the hell is going on now? Titus Wu gives us this. Transparency advocates are enraged over a sneaky change to a California bill that would make it harder to get details on what government agencies are doing, and could even haul people seeking public records to court. News publishers and other First Amendment supporters are already opposed to Assembly Bill 1821 by Assemblywoman Blanca Pacheco, Democrat. Is this a big surprise? Which initially sought to extend the timeline for when government entities such as city halls or state agencies needed to respond to request public records. First, it started out, well, 10 days to get record is too long. Maybe they need 30 days. But Pacheco adjusted her measure so that steep fees can be charged in line with time staff spends to find public records available, and administrative fee of $22.35 per hour for professional fee to $66.26 per hour, both subject to cost of living increases. So in 10 years, they're saying the cost of living went up 300%. Well, the state budget has almost done that. Well, not really, but it's more than doubled. Not only under the newest version of the bill, the government believes the record requester has malicious intent, it can ask the court to make and determine to put the request on hold pending a court decision. So if the El Governmente say you go down to your local sewer cleaning commissioner and you ask for, under California Public Records Act, CPRA, you ask for whatever. How much, how much have you spent on the local sewer plant this year? They're required to give you that information within 10 days. And if they don't have it in 10 days, they have to give you a reason why, X, Y, and Z, and when they will have you the records. And that's how it first got. Now we're tripling the fee per hour to do this, if there's a charge. Most only charge you for copying costs if you want it in paper. If you get it delivered through your email and they've just put it in a PDF file, there's not even any charge. So now, if they don't like that, they can take you, if this legislation 1821 passes, the government agency can take you to court and say, oh, that's just too much, you have malicious intent. I don't give a crap what intent it is. We have a right to see the records of our government. Period. End of freaking story. Old Bianca, Miss Pacheco, is a communist piece of trash. You can't, again, we don't, nothing to see here, move along. Does this sound like Anthony Fauci, what Tulsi Gabbard just put out in her 5-minute video? We're getting screwed, blued, and tattooed at every turn. This has happened, and they're doing it. in our once great cities. San Diego, where the NASCAR races, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, New York City. Look, you got the Austin, Texas, Houston, Dallas. You got Democratic Socialist members in the city councils of all these places. Black Lives Matter. Can't illegal immigrants have more rights than Americans? We will take those poor illegal immigrants that Joe Biden let 30 million will pick off, the nice-looking teenage girls and now boys, and we'll make sex slaves out of them. That's what your government is doing. That's what these cities are doing. Look at Newsom passed a law basically saying streetwalkers could walk the street. Just go down to Figueroa in LA or any of these big cities. Look, they elected Karen Bass, a known Castro communist associate. Seattle, Todd Gloria down in San Diego, Mondami, Democrat Socialists of America in New York City. Now everything's going to be free, free, free. Well, it ain't free, free, free. You got the backers. Now SEIU unions put the jam. Said, oh, we got the billionaires tax offer. Now they're saying, well, we'll reduce the 5% tax if Newsom and the legislature will put it on as a 2% tax, and we will withdraw the initiative that would qualify. At least Newsom, because he's running for president. He don't want the billionaire tech bros dumping on his 28 for president campaign. He even said no to that. So this is extortion. Yeah. And what did they do? What was those O'Keefe tapes and all that were going on? The ones up in San Francisco? Oh, they were collecting signatures for the Tax of Billionaires Act, which the SEIU was doing. This shows you how corrupt it is. They are in Dallas, Texas. They have an out-and-out Democrat Socialists of America on the city council in Austin, Texas. We have 5 of them, in LA. You have a mayor on there in New York City. You either have a communist or a DSA member who's going to be on the ballot in November in Los Angeles. And this is where they've taken the population centers because... And where the gold is, Chicago, Illinois, with Johnson. The financial powers, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. We know because once we got control of them, we got everybody by the short hairs. And that's what's going down. That will permeate to your local community like it's moving as the LA folk immigrate out here to the Inland Empire. They're turning this into the communist hellhole Los Angeles has become. They've done New York City. They've done Seattle. They've done Chicago. And that's because we've allowed them. Just like we had with the Juneteenth and all this. And, you can't see the records anymore. Now, the Public Utilities Commission is putting a program together. Oh, well, you can only be gay to get contracts and all this noise. Harmeet Dillon from the Justice Department had this to say. You go.
I'm going to break some news for you here, Todd. I just sent a letter in the last few minutes to all the commissioners of California's Public Utilities Commission, warning them that the supplier diversity program that they're forcing down the throats of California's public utilities providers is unconstitutional, and that private parties could sue them for that, such as potential vendors to public utilities that are not selected for contracts because they don't check the boxes of the protected categories that they're trying to favor. And of course, the United States Department of Justice, if the Attorney General certifies that the case is in the national interest, could unleash me on the Public Utilities Commission and on companies that are violating the.
So all you Trump turncoats out there that do all that, you know, if Kamala Harris was in, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have Harmeet Dillon in there. You would have somebody who would be trumpeting this. Destruction of your way of life. Look at what's happening in Europe. 250,000 girls raped and tortured by illegal aliens, and we're doing exactly the same thing under the Biden administration. 500,000 kids, they don't even know where they're at. Well, no, because they handed them over to the cartels and the pimps and the labor traders and everything else. It's absolutely beyond stunning. El Presidente put out the edict. Ron Johnson's been on it. Hey, pass the Voter ID Act. Terminate the filibuster. Anybody that doesn't do that is a fool. Pass voter ID. So maybe we have a semblance of a chance of electing people that can straighten this stuff out. It's not happening because we're not putting enough pressure on our elected representatives. Here's a summary from Ashley Zavala on the taxes coming when the budget is passed by the Senate. We'll see what they've come in the House, or the Assembly's already passed this. Here we go.
Lawmakers just passed 2 new taxes, and it's one of the largest tax increases in California in the last decade. One tax is related to technology, another is related to health care. KCRA 3 political director Ashley Zavala explains what's next.
Yeah, several groups warn that this action today is expected to increase the cost of living in California. The state Senate approving those 2 new taxes on party line votes. One of the taxes is a digital software sales tax that would start at about 7.25%, depending on where you live. It could be more. That is specifically on software as a service, such as Microsoft's Office, Slack, Workday, QuickBooks, for example. The other tax is a new tax on health plans. And basically, this is expected to trickle down to people who have private health insurance. Individuals could see cost increases of an average of $100 per year, a family of 4 up to potentially $400 per year. Sutter Health has told lawmakers that these 2 new taxes together could mean an extra $35 million in costs for that hospital system alone. Republicans railed on this plan. Few Democrats spoke during the debate. Here's what it sounded like.
It will be a huge mistake. I urge a no vote.
Don't look at the rhetoric, look at the record. The rhetoric says you care about the affordability crisis, but your record shows that you really don't.
They say that 2 things are certain in life: death and taxes. However, Californians are being taxed to death.
This is about responsibly budgeting for the future of California. We cannot live just on day-to-day stock market gains.
When we look at the big picture about what's happening now, is we have a federal administration with its lapdog majority in Congress that have completely are attempting to gut basic government services.
And let's be clear, a lot of what we are considering today would not be considered if it were not for the federal cuts that are cutting across this country and across this state.
These bills now head.
$355 billion budget. Newsom presented $349. And it's all Trump's fault. Record numbers. Record. The budget is almost doubled under the 8 years of Gavin Newsom. Over 3 times bigger than when Jerry Brown came back in 2011. And it's Trump's fault. This is built, there is no way you can sustain this at any level. But you got forces that want to bury us under the ground. They're going to bust our rear ends if they do that. Newsom's still looking at more trouble. Him and Jenny Poo.
Evening. Thank you for joining us on To The Point. I'm Becca Habiger. This comes after he just accused President Donald Trump and the U.S. Department of Justice of investigating him and his wife. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen joins us to explain the newly announced violation and the governor's response.
Well, Becca, the Fair Political Practices Commission says Governor Gavin Newsom failed to report financial filings on time. These filings relate to behested payments, and this comes as Newsom is currently under scrutiny for behested payments he's made in the past to his wife's nonprofit.
What the FPPC really found here is that Governor Newsom had failed to disclose these behested payments within the required time period.
This is going to be key because this appears from Adam Housley, who first brought this out in 21 or 22, I believe, when the Biden Justice Administration started this. They were tapping Jenny Poo's phone, Jenny Newsom, wifey of Gavin, who got a bunch of the $347 million of behested payments. And we've went through all the stuff of why and would, do indoctrinate our kids and show sexually explicit material to kids in schools and all that. On top of all the other stuff that was going on. This thing, hopefully, and even though they might be under, maybe, other than this, he's already broken, the Newsoms have already broken California law under this, with the FPPC funds. And maybe the behested payments were legal under California law, but then they have to be legal under federal law too. Or you could be in a heap of trouble. Why was the Biden administration tapping Jenny Newsom's phone? Apparently, according to Adam Housley, it's because whistleblowers were saying, hey, there's something really rotten going on here in CA with Newsom. 1 and 2. This is going to be some intriguing stuff. And I think those on the left, the few Democrats in there that have somewhat of sanity left nationally, they're getting tired of the California. Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, and the crew, and Javier Baccaria. Total ding-dongs. And corrupt as hell. They're saying they're making us look bad. So if we want to get on the stick, they're giving us the opportunity to expose it. They're opening the door. It's up to us to walk through it. It's going to be a great weekend, Father's Day weekend. See lots of stuff going on here. Locally, sprint cars and stock cars at Paris Auto Speedway. They got the big NASCAR races. Well, I think the truck race is going on down in the San Diego Naval Air Station. Tomorrow will be the O'Reilly Series, the Cup Series on Sunday. There's lots of things to do. Chamber of Commerce weather, whether you go surfing or up to the mountains, if you can afford to go to Disneyland. Or they got the soccer deal, the World Cup or whatever it is down in LA, if you want to take your chances on your life, braving into Los Angeles. I wouldn't do it. In fact, if somebody said, I mean, unless I don't even remember. It's got pre-COVID. I haven't been to Los Angeles for anything since COVID. It's been pre-COVID since I've even been there. I just refuse to go. For one, you're taking your life into your hands. And as bad as traffic is in the Inland Empire, it's a cakewalk compared to Los Angeles. It's insane. I swear you could walk faster than you can drive on the freeways. Have some fun this weekend. Enjoy yourself. If nothing else, have a barbecue. Enjoy your time. If you do have a dad, make sure you cherish those moments, because most likely they're going to be gone one day, and once they're gone, they ain't coming back. So, either end of the stick you're on, enjoy the day, cherish the weekend, and resolve to come back on Monday and say, you know what? We're going to roll this stuff bigger and badder and bolder than we've ever done it before. Just like Andrews, when he was 4 car lengths back at Wayne County Speedway in Ohio, going into turn 3 on the last lap. He didn't give up. Well, you know what? He crossed the checkered flag first. And you can too, if you put your mind to it. That'll do it for today, as we usually say at this time. Mandatory, you're back here at 71 Hours Why. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The preceding was a paid program.
All right, Roy. Have a good weekend.
You got it. We'll see you Monday.
Bye now.